If you are an ICF member, the following information might be relevant to you since ICF have new accreditation rules. The ICF now requires you to complete a quiz after watching a session recording so you can get CC units for it. After you fully watch this session recording, simply scroll down to the session resources and find a one-question quiz. Please complete it and you will ensure that you've received the CC units for this session. And if you already attended this session live, you've already been granted the CC units for it, and you don't need to complete this quiz. Also, here is a quick tutorial on how to get the most out of our new video player. Click on the CC button to turn on captions. Click on the search button, enter a specific keyword, and then click on the result. And you will be taken to the part of the video where your keyword is mentioned. Click here to download raw transcripts and head over here for the downloadable audio. That's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this session.
Welcome in, everyone. So nice to see you today. As you are getting settled in, you can find your way to that Q&A box. Sonoma, California is in the house already. Thank you, Larry. You can let us know where you're calling in from for sure. We love that. We'll just wait just a few more minutes before everyone gets in, but let us know where you're calling in from, and we'll get started in a minute. While you're sitting there waiting for us to officially get going, I have a question for us to engage in the Q&A box together. And that question is, what is the core principle that guides your coaching philosophy? So if you feel like sharing, we would love to have your answers go into the Q&A. What is the core principle that guides your coaching philosophy? And it is the top of the hour, so let's get going. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today's session is positioning your client for advancement using a strategic roadmap with Jenny Fernandez, whom I'll introduce in just a moment. To get the conversation going, please find your way to that Q&A box and type the answer to this question. What is the core principle that guides your coaching philosophy? We'll get to some of those answers in just a minute. And in order to gain the most value out of today's session, we recommend that you take the time to turn off all distractions, prepare to take notes, and allow yourself to be fully engaged and focused with our speaker today. So what is the philosophies? Some of them are, Joel says ethics, Karen says honesty. Amanda is from sunny Florida. Thank you. Indra says empowering client focus. Nice. Alma says meeting the client where they are. Very awesome. Heather says openness. These are great answers. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Ralph offers you have the potential. People need to hear that, don't they? Amanda says drawing out what is strong and whole about each client to meet their goal need. Thank you, everyone. Continue to put those answers in there and, read them. This is your community, and encourage each other with your answers. My name is Kristen, and I will be your host for Jenny's session today. We also have Lynn in the background handling all of your questions and logistics. So during the session, please type your questions into the Q&A box, not the chat box. The chat box is going to be used for us to post useful links and information to you. And one of those links are coming up for you right now. Make sure that you join one of the implementation mastery sessions to expand on the learnings from this session. There you're going to meet like-minded coaches in small facilitator-led groups. And you're going to share takeaways, you're going to hear others and collaborate together on how you can apply the information offered in these sessions with your clients, in your practice, and to your life. These sessions take place 30 minutes after the end of today's session and also this coming Tuesday. And they're offered in English, Arabic, and Portuguese. So you can find that link in the chat box. All right, back to today's session. We are thrilled to have Jenny Fernandez with us today. She is an executive coach, chief marketing officer, and professor at Columbia Business and NYU. She has 20 years of experience, including launching and growing multi-million-dollar brands within Fernandez, Kraft, and Accenture. Jenny helps leaders and organizations position and communicate their brands for exponential growth by unlocking strategic resilience, team collaboration, and innovative thinking. Her book, Zigzag to the Top, How to Master the Habits, Behaviors, and Mindset to Succeed, will be published in 2024. It's very exciting. A fun fact about Jenny is that she is a global citizen. She's born in Latin America, she lives in the US, and she's worked in Asia. With that, Jenny, I am going to turn everything over to you. Have a great time, and I'm here.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. So again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you guys out there. I'm very excited to join WBECS Full Summit this year. And as Kristen mentioned, we have an exciting conversation today. Again, we're going to talk about how to position your clients for advancement. And I'm going to leverage my many years of marketing experience to show you that what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar brand into a household name is kind of the same approach that you can help your clients with in order to better position themselves for succeeding, whether it is for a promotion, for a lateral move, or for their 3-year career journey. So again, my name is Jenny Fernandez, and I want to just highlight that I'm including here my email address so that you can feel free to email me with any questions. And also I'm going to put together basically a short one-page document or a couple of pages with all of the frameworks that we're going to go over today so that you have them handy. And I offer that you please connect with me on LinkedIn. I create a lot of content on LinkedIn. I'm very proud to have been recently named top voice for personal branding and strategic thinking. And again, I hope that I see you there, be part of the conversation. So next, just very quickly again, about me, as I mentioned, I'm a leadership coach, also chief marketing officer, and I am a professor. And what I do with these many hats or this portfolio career is just really better create a brand that represents me, my clients, and what my offering is. As a coach, I am both a leadership coach and a branding coach, and I specialize in helping both business leaders and startup founders to better position themselves for success. And this word positioning is key. It's really, how do you create the right story that showcases your values, your expertise, what you bring to the table, in order to communicate how that suits the organization. So again, it's this problem solution. And my mission is really to help my clients basically scale their potential, build and communicate their brands by enhancing, collaborative thinking, innovation, and all of these in the support of sustainable growth. So again, there's my handy LinkedIn web address, so please do reach out. And the big 3 takeaways learning takeaways that we have for today. We're going to talk about the key drivers for career progression. And this is key because while it may sound like a very normal thing, sometimes our clients lose track of what really it takes to succeed when it comes to career progression. It's not just your job. There are many other factors and your results, many other factors that affect it. And sometimes there may be derailers or myths that we need to debunk in order to ensure that they're doing their best. As I mentioned, I have several career positioning frameworks that we're going to discuss today so that you can see how to apply them in your discussions with your clients, as well as putting together or enhancing the plans that you already work on as coaching leaders to persuade your clients to really envision and create their future success. And as Kristen mentioned, feel free to ask any questions throughout the talk. You can put them in the Q&A session, and she will be letting me know at key points in the presentation what questions you have, and I'll be sure to address them then. So the big question, here, why are we here today? So my answer to that is that we're here to unlock your client's career growth. And the reasons that this is important for you as a coach is that I want to empower you to achieve better client engagement outcomes. Obviously, if you have a better client experience, if your client is able to progress through their career, you're going to position yourself as a longer-term coach. The idea is that as your client progresses, they will bring you along, they will see your effectiveness, and you will be a bigger and better partner for them as they grow in their career. I think many of us here know Coach Marshall Goldsmith. He is the #1 executive coach globally. He coaches, I think, the largest numbers of CEOs globally. He's also the #1 Thinkers 50 in the Hall of Fame as well. He recently published a book called Becoming Coachable, which has become a Wall Street Journal bestseller. So Marshall recently had this post on LinkedIn, which I think really resonated with me and with this topic. As you see here, he said, "A teacher doesn't make you smart. A trainer doesn't make you fit. People can help you, but growth is still your responsibility." This is a key mindset that we need to instill in our coaching clients. Because sometimes when they don't hear the right feedback or they don't get the right results, the lines get blurred. It's me versus them versus what can I do from an empowered place in order to change the outcome next time. So again, the objectives that I have for us today are to describe the drivers for progression. We're going to talk about these branding tools and frameworks, and we're going to then speak about how do you take all of this learning and communicate it through messaging, storytelling, and this idea of positioning. And really what may be differentiated from the approach that you may have already had throughout your careers as coaches, helping your clients grow, is that I want you to start seeing your client and I want you to start instilling in them the idea that they are their own brand and they're selling themselves. So what I want to talk about today is how to build the business case for career advancement. And this is basically a strategic roadmap. It's a set of tools, but also mindset that helps your business leaders take control of their career. And again, be at the driver's seat of their progression. And one of the reasons that I wanted to highlight here, this is the World Economic Forum. They just recently, in 2023, published basically what are the top skills this year and what are the top rising skills, which is what I have highlighted here, that are going to be rising between 2023 and 2027, right? So for the next 4 years. And then I have highlighted here the 3 that I think are most relevant to our discussion today. Number 4, which is curiosity and lifelong learning. Obviously, we're all here today learning because we're curious people. Our clients hire us because they want to continue to learn and grow and evolve. But again, when you put it in the frame of reference of career progression, we want to make sure that this is front and center for them. Sometimes when they don't get the right feedback or the right result, again, they forget that it's really still up to them to understand and ask the questions. Why didn't I get the promotion? Or why was somebody else chosen over me? Or why was I told not now? All of those great questions help the client feel more empowered in terms of addressing those challenges that they're facing. Number 5 here is resilience, flexibility, and agility. We all know that resilience is really so important for us because it is a capacity to change and bounce back in the face of setbacks. So again, when our clients are not getting the right results, we want them to keep that in mind, that this is not a zero-sum game. This is just a bump in the road, right, in that journey of the progression. And it's really up to them and you as their coach to be empowered around the discussion so that you can both move forward. And number 8, motivation and self-awareness. Obviously, self-awareness is key as we get different feedbacks, through our career journey that help us grow. But sometimes our perception of ourselves, our self-awareness is very different from the reputation, how others perceive us. And this is where we need to continue to improve our self-awareness. And this is where we need to continue to have that intrinsic motivation and positivity that is not just toxic. I'm not saying that you have to be positive no matter what, but you have to know that, and your clients, in this case, no matter what, things will be okay. You can always address the bump in the road and get the promotion next time. So again, how can you use this approach for your clients? The number 1 aspect of this is having that mindset shift, addressing any inner negative thoughts that they may have, letting go of feelings of disempowerment, becoming self-motivated around career growth. And I want to go deeper into that in a few minutes. And the big one, which is really start seeing themselves as the product they're looking to market or sell. When you focus on that last mindset shift, you remove a lot of the emotions associated with career progression, and you start seeing it more as a business leader. And more to that soon. And you may be asking, well, Jenny, why does mindset impact your career? And to quote the great Mahatma Gandhi, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words, and then your words become your actions, your habits, your values, and ultimately your destiny. You have to be very clear around your beliefs and what assumptions you bring to the table when it comes to career progression, because sometimes that might be what's holding you back. And letting go of those derailers are going to be really what unlocks growth in the future. So a quick polling question that the team is going to help me conduct right now. And again, there might be more than one answer to this, so feel free to type or to select as many. Oops, sorry, so just want to, I cannot really see the question anymore. Okay, so what feelings are associated with the career progression process? So you can see all of them here: excitement, ambition, motivation, confidence. On the other hand, it could be anxiety, impatience, frustration, stress. Again, thank you so much for your participation. I'm seeing a lot come in, so we'll wait a few minutes until we get like 80% in. Great, I'm seeing a lot of excitement, ambition, motivation. They're all kind of going hand in hand. Let's see. Thank you so much for your contributions. Fantastic, they keep coming in. For the most part, they tend to seem a little bit more positive, which is great. So there is still a sense of excitement about the future, the possibility of what's coming. And that's fantastic. There's also, towards the bottom, we still see a sense of anxiety, sometimes impatience, because your client might feel they're ready now, but they might not be getting the same green light from their boss, from their management. A little stress. It's always a little stressful, but overall, very, very strong. They still are coming in, so we'll wait a few more seconds. Great. So Lynn, I think I'm going to stop it here. That's okay? Great. Great, fantastic. So I think the team is going to share this with you. So as I mentioned, still very positive. Top three actually are excitement, ambition, motivation, confidence. Number four, the kind of the more concerning, or I'm going to call it quote unquote negative, anxiety, impatience, frustration, stress, are still on the lower side, but they are between 35% to almost 50%. So they're still coming in strong. So this just shares basically that there's a lot of feelings associated with career progression. And this is one of the key mindset shifts that we have to address as coaches. Great. Sorry, let me make sure I can stop this here. Okay. So as we continue our discussion, and again, please feel free to enter in the Q&A any questions, comments. I can address them as we go. But elevating your coaching clients' awareness is really the key to success here. And I would love for you guys to enter in. I put in the chat here, but it's really in the Q&A, as the team mentioned earlier. If you can put in the Q&A, where again, wearing your coaching clients' hats as you think about this, like, what do you think they're thinking? And the first question for you is, if you were to ask your client, who is in charge of your career progression? What would they say? I'm going to take a quick look at the Q&A box here. They are me. Great. Very empowered. Fantastic. My manager as well. In charge, like, who is responsible? Sometimes we may have the mindset of, hey, my work should speak for itself. I just have to do a good job and they need to take care of me. Management needs to take care of me. My manager needs to take care of me. Umberto, you're making me laugh. He said his wife. It's a shared relationship when it comes to, right, your manager, yourself. Somebody's client here, Gary, they're blaming others. The partner, probably, I'm guessing this is Charlie, the partner of the firm. The client is responsible, Eleanor is saying, but with some input of the manager and HR. Great. So we have a good range of answers. But at the end of the day, I think the consensus is that your clients know that they are in charge of their career progression. So the other one that I have for you, so what is the role of the manager during the career progression discussion? Great, Barbara saying to support their growth. What else? Help them overcome. Yes, help them overcome any hurdles or obstacles. Provide feedback. That's a big one. Yes. You don't want your client, they don't want to be blindsided, right? Create an environment for success, Larry's saying. So true, right? We need a partner on our side. We cannot just, as a leader in the organization, we cannot just do it alone. They have you as a partner in their career, but depending on whether or not you're integrated in the organization, then they need somebody in the inside as well. to support their self-actualization, honest feedback, input feedback, to be a supporter. Fantastic. So this is another big one. When you ask your client, what would your manager and stakeholders say about you during career discussions? Again, this goes back to that feedback aspect. Do you know what they think about you? Are you as a client or making those assumptions? Is it a yes? Is it a no? Is it a maybe? So this is a big one, guys, because at the end of the day, progression, as anything in life, is about people. Metrics are great, results are great, but people want to work with people they know and like. So that's why I'm very keen to ensure that this is a big part of your conversation with your clients. Do you know what your manager, but also what other stakeholders who are in the room when having the discussions are going to say about you? So Jerry, you said, so what I would say and what my client would say are not the same thing. Yes, Karen, you mentioned, or Karen, sorry. If your client isn't honest with themselves, how others see them, that's a big one. And I will empower you with a quick exercise, a framework to help your client find out. Great. And then this is another one. As your client sees themselves as the object, right? The product. What's in it for the organization to promote or advance your client? This is something very keen, right? Are they going to promote you just because you do a good job? Yes or no? They might just say, you're doing your job. I'm paying you to do your job. What are you going to do for me if I promote you and advance you? So as a business leader, as a coach for your clients, you have to have a real discussion about this. What's in it for the organization to promote or advance you? And are you communicating that as part of your business case? Let's see. Oh, great. So Gary, you love that question. The organizational benefits, exactly. Are you understanding what is the true benefit you provide? And frankly, how do you differentiate versus other people so that you can then present even that reference point? For the company, Wendy mentioned engagement, retention, bigger performance. Okay, so Shirley, you said better to not be wanted versus promoted out. Okay. Okay, so this is Claire, you mentioned this is a key question many clients never consider, especially the younger ones. Exactly. I'm a big supporter of Gen Z, and now I've written many articles about them as well. It's something that we need to instill in the rising talent, Gen Z and millennials, to think about the organization. Because at the end of the day, it is a business, guys. Nobody gets promoted because of the goodness of their heart. It's really because they see potential that you're going to deliver in a big way. So this is a big question to ask. And then lastly, who will you enroll to advocate for you? How will you advocate for yourself? It goes back to not expecting that your work will speak for itself, not expecting that your manager will be the sole person speaking for you. As you all know, when those HR discussions happens, when the people are in the room, sometimes, as we say here in the US, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? The people who speak the loudest gets the greater attention. So empower your manager, empower your client's manager with that information, with the business case to make that happen. Empower yourself so that you are doing the work before the meeting happens, right? Most of the decisions happen before the meeting happens. So are you empowering your client to have those discussions, those self-promoting discussions, even ahead of the big promotion meeting? So, Kristen, I don't know if there are any additional questions that came up in that session that you want to call out.
I'm not really seeing anything at the moment.
Okay, no problem.
Just some comments, and yeah, we could get to those.
Okay. Fantastic, thank you. So I'll continue because I know I need to pick up my pace. So this is important, right? Because obviously there are many things that happen when promotion discussions happen, when you're planning for your career. So I want to share with you a quick case study from one of my clients. So this is Sarah. This is what happened to Sarah before we started working together. So again, Sarah is mid-career professional, top school with an MBA. She had been at the company for quite some time, but she had, a lot of experience in multiple companies. So she was, again, in her mid-career, looking to get promoted to that senior director role in a tech cybersecurity company. So basically, all the signs pointed to yes. Sarah is a very successful people manager, project lead, great performer. So she had very good feedback and results throughout her reviews. And she was very well liked by her boss and coworkers. Her boss was a big supporter of her promotion. So what happened? Sarah did not get the promotion. So when we met, we did a lot of self-reflection about this and to understand why did she get blindsided. Frankly, even her boss was blindsided because he was not able to garner enough momentum to get it through. And the feedback that she received was the following: not strategic, not yet an expert. And this other feedback was actually as it related to other people. She is comfortable where she is. Others are hungrier for the promotion. So she was being compared to other people in the promotion cycle. Other candidates had more supporters. Again, there's more than one person in the room promoting the people they support and like and advocating for you. And this is part of what you need to consider when you're building the business case for your client's promotion. So again, this was very tough feedback to get, but it was quite insightful. It really allowed her and me working together understand what did we need to work on? What was the plan we needed to put in place? So more to come on this. So so it was really clear that in order for her to get promoted in the next cycle, she needed to build a business case for her promotion. The readiness factor was just not based on her boss's thoughts or her idea of results. We needed to get a lot more going for her. So again, going back to this grounding all of us and what are the drivers for career promotion? Obviously, skills. We all know that these are learned abilities, whether it's training, education, experience on the job. This is all possible and doable. And the reason why it's key to know this is that when you're putting together the strategic roadmap, obviously, sometimes your clients may have to get more goals around projects or taking a class or getting more real life training or on the job training to prove that they have these skills ready. Now with AI or data analytics or graphics design or whatever your companies, your clients' companies are, they may require a little bit of extra in order to differentiate themselves. Soft skills are becoming bigger and bigger, right? Whether it is team collaboration, somebody mentioned the younger generations, Gen Z, has some challenges in these soft skills, getting them ready to work in a multi-generational workspace is needed. So whatever the challenges for your clients, you need to be grounded on what these are so that they have a clear understanding. Do they need to have bigger and more results to show progression readiness? The same for capabilities. This is basically, right, is measuring your potential. whether you can perform effectively. Similar to skills, everything can be showcased if you have the right projects or if you have the right framing. So again, it's clear for you guys to understand everything that impacts progression so that you can work with your client putting together that roadmap. Experiences and accomplishments. I just want to pause here because I want to emphasize this idea of your whole self. We are all individuals. We are global citizens. We bring our whole self to work. And whether it is a lifetime of experience that you have that makes you different, or your schooling or something a little bit more tangible, you should be able to, again, put together a very robust plan that showcases who you are. As I mentioned, I got to live and work in China and in Asia Pacific for 3 years. Part of my life experience that really makes me differentiated is the fact that I am one of few people who has really worked globally, lived and worked in a different region of the world, worked in multinational companies, influenced people across the board. So the level of soft skills that I can speak to is heightened compared to others. So think about what makes you different. As an immigrant, again, you may have a different level of resilience, of skill sets that you can speak to that will be quite valuable. So again, this is something to truly look into because framed with the right storytelling could really help your client be differentiated. This is another very important one that I want to highlight is this idea of network and supporters. Who is in your corner? One key aspect that sometimes we forget is, again, it's not just your client's boss, but it's their mentors, their sponsors, even agency partners, customers, clients, their cross-functional leaders who are, again, in the room, who can give them a testimonial, who can be a great person to vouch for your potential and your success. Sometimes one of the key mindsets that you have to instill in your clients is that they don't have to do it alone. And asking for support is key. And being somebody, being a woman, I know that many of us, we're great at building relationships, but we're not great at leveraging them. So having the discussion so that they understand that in order to get promoted, in order to advance, you need to rally the troops and get the supporters behind you is key. This is as easy as having a conversation, reminding everyone what they have accomplished, and being just very, again, detached and professional about it. It is the business case. I want to highlight, this is actually an article that I collaborated with another coach, Luis Velasquez. We co-wrote the 5 relationships you need to build your career, your successful career. So I recommend everyone, if you have access to HBR, everybody should have access to, I think it's 5 articles a month for free. Read it. I highlight here 5 key relationships from mentors, sponsors, subject matter experts, which could be our cross-functional leaders, collaborators. I mean, I would not have published if I hadn't collaborated with Luis. So this was a great example of collaboration and the doors that it opens. And another one in this world of multi-generations in the workplace, mentees. If your leaders are taking the time to nurture the next generation of leaders, this is something key to highlight. As one of you guys mentioned, it helps with increased sense of belonging, with increased retention, with a sense of loyalty, and with increasing the idea of having a best friend at work. All of the great things that companies are really concerned about as they wanted to reduce the Great Resignation or quiet quitting or all of these many different things that are happening in the workplace that are very costly for the firm. And just to highlight again, as I mentioned earlier, the idea of increased self-motivation. But even when things don't go well, we have to keep the drive and self-motivation and positivity going so that we can accomplish what's impossible. So another quick polling question that Lynn is going to share. In terms of self-drive and motivation, which factors do you think of are the greatest impact on an individual's progression? Great. Thank you for your engagement. They're coming in. A lot of resilience and perseverance, ambition and motivation. Yes. Accountability. That is key. This idea of initiative or self-drive, right? Proactivity. Great, fantastic. So as you can see, there's no right or wrong answer. But obviously, a lot of this is very, very key to get your clients going and moving forward, right? We cannot lose that inner ambition and drive. Otherwise, they're not going to get the job done or build a case to be ready in everyone's eye. Fantastic. So again, maybe we can share that, Lynn, already. So again, intrinsic motivation, let's see, resilience and perseverance, I think is number one. Ownership, they're all very close. Ownership, accountability, that's fantastic. Interesting, very small number, only 15% for extrinsic motivation. So this idea of intrinsic rewards came very low. So everyone wants to be, obviously more driven than it's not just about money. Fantastic, great. Thank you, Lynn. So just very quickly to share, and we have been speaking about these career myths. The idea that your work speaks for itself is a myth. You have to help your clients speak for their own self, speak for their business case. As we already talked, manager responsibility in the promotion cycle is just partial. The rest is up to the individual. And career progression is not a guaranteed. It's not just the outcome of hard work. Hard work is what they're paying us for. So we need to show potential. We need to show, again, what's in it for the organization. We need to be liked. We need to have supporters. So all of these things work together to create that business case. So now, very quickly, I'm going to get to the tools and the frameworks. So one very important one, which may sound interesting to you, is this idea of emotional detachment, right? Brain versus heart. We said at the beginning that there's a lot of feelings associated with career progression. And we need to acknowledge the feelings, but we need to then move past that. And I just want to highlight this quote, Daring Greatly by Theodore Roosevelt, that it was popularized by Brené Brown. Hear many talks, and hear TED Talk and books. And I'm just going to highlight a few areas. It is not the critic that counts. The credit belongs to the person who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by blood, sweat, and dust, and who at the very best knows in the end triumph of high achievement, and who at the very worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So it's this idea that you have to remind your client, even if we don't get the promotion this time, you did your best to try. So every time we have to ensure that we go with the mindset of winning. I'll do my best to self-promote. I'll do my best to rally the troops and my supporters. I'll do my best by creating, depending on the company, it could be a one-page slide or a two-page Word document to showcase what I have created, my results, my achievements, my skills, so that I am empowering everyone to speak on my behalf. So again, it goes back to that intrinsic motivation to keep going. And I want to highlight for you this from to framework, which again could be quite helpful in discussions with your clients about behavior and mindset change. We need to go from having blind spots to increased awareness. So obviously, this is where feedback is key. Whether it's taking the 360 that they receive, or the annual review, or just proactively asking everyone that you want to support you to let you know where do they stand in terms of your readiness in terms of what do you need to work on. Changing from being reactive to proactive. Again, preparation is key. Just as they would do for any meeting, or you guys would do before you're coaching clients, you probably check your notes, you'll think back to the discussion, you'll go back to the goals that they're working on. Your clients need to be proactive about all of the discussions way in advance, 3 to 6 months in advance, so that they allow themselves the opportunity to influence the outcome. This idea or mindset of working alone versus seeking support. We need to rally the troops. Again, your mentors, your sponsors, your cross-functional, teammates, so that everyone in the room, when having the discussions, they know that you're hungry for the discussion. Remember Sarah's feedback? She's not hungry enough. She's comfortable. Sometimes this happens a lot to women, and to, we as women tend to think, I have to be at 100% to get promoted. Versus sometimes men are more bold and we have to learn from them. They're like, oh, I know 50%, I can learn the other 50% on the job. So it's having that bold confidence that you can do it. You have done it before and you can do it again. Shifting from being right to being effective. It doesn't matter that you think you're right, that you're ready, your client. But it's about thinking, again, from a very objective way, leaving the feelings aside. What do I need to do to ensure everyone thinks I am ready? Shifting from being resigned to being resilient. Even when you don't think things are going your way, if you create the case for it, you have the opportunity to convince people. And I have proof of that with my clients as well. And it gets them in the right mindset. They get working, they get energized. And again, they really have the ability to change the perception of others and how they're being seen. Another big one is the lacking of a personal narrative. And I will talk a little bit more about this in a few slides, which is building your brand. What do you want to be known for? What do you want your manager to say about you? What are the 3 things that you want everyone to know? And this is very key as they think about why you versus somebody else. And this idea of being a victim versus being in control. When you're, as we all know as coaches, when your client is in a victim stage, they are resigned, they are powerless. Versus when they realize, well, you know what? These are the reasons why it didn't happen, or this is what I need to do to influence the future outcome. It's a very different mindset. It's a very different conversation. One key framework that I'm going to also share with you is this analysis, the SWOT analysis. Many of you may be familiar with this. Is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's a very popular framework that we use in business, and it can be applied for business leaders. What are the characteristics that give the business leader, your client, an advantage over others? What is a competitive disadvantage that they may have? Are there opportunities that they can exploit? Or are there threats or external problems? For example, I will go over that in a minute. Maybe the company is going to do a free, so they can only promote a certain number of people, which lowers your chances of getting your client promoted. It's good to know so that you can work around that. So I want to empower you with some coaching questions that can help you have rich discussions around this. And again, I will share this with you over the Word document. Just feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know, and I'll share that with you later this week. So again, strengths, as we discussed, these are the skills, expertise, qualifications that make them unique. The results they have created, right? The value they have provided for the company. Positive recognition, awards. So getting all of these so that you can help them build that business case. What relationships do they have, or what's lacking? Because when you ask these powerful questions, then you identify the gaps as well. For weaknesses, again, What are improvement areas, feedback they have received? What are the gaps? What are challenges or setbacks that they need to learn from? What does leadership and management think about them that they need to address? How do they mitigate concerns? A great deal of getting somebody to support you is addressing risk. Why do they think I may not be the right person? Or what do I have to address? And as I mentioned as well, the first two are more internal. The last two, opportunities and threats, are more external. What are upcoming initiatives, or what is the goal of the organization, and how does that align with your client's goals and expertise? They could be set up for success, or they might think, oh, wow, the organization is moving forward towards an AI focus, and I don't have experience in that area. Maybe I need to take a class or a training. Are there any emerging trends and opportunities that they need to work on? And remember, opportunities, it's good that they have the word opportunities here. That's what it is, it's opportunities, but they need to be in the game so that they can work on them and reposition themselves or succeed. Threats. Are there other potential candidates who may compete for the promotion? How does your client differentiate? Are there any concerns, team dynamics, resistance that they need to address? Again, obstacles. Have they received feedback before that's still unaddressed? All of these are key questions that will create rich coaching discussions for you both, so that you can then create goals around each so that they are ready. And again, some of it might be actual tangible things that need to happen, projects. Some other ones might just be communication, that you need to ensure that what they have done is communicated to the right people so that you're changing their perception. And again, hey, I just put here kind of obviously a very easy, handy way to address this in a discussion so that you can capture that, or even give it to them as a little self-reflecting self-analysis that they can do before your coaching session. Another one, which goes back to the weaknesses, is this gap analysis. They need to clearly understand what's missing, right? As they look to jump from one place to the next. When they look at, if it's a promotion that they're going for, when they look at the promotion description, at the new role, how do they fare between where they are today to that new description? Do they check off all the marks? Are there requirements of the position they don't yet have and they need to be working on? It just provides a very clear kind of from-to that they can use. Are there skills, qualifications? What is the difference between the current state and the future state, so that they can get working on that? And all of this empowers you as coaches to then put together a detailed action plan, right? Many of you, I like using SMART goals because they're very, as it says here, specific, measurable, timely, realistic, and you can keep them on track around this. One key aspect that I want to highlight is the idea of getting continuous feedback. As coaches, I know that you might meet your client weekly or bi-weekly and ask them, how are you progressing in your goals? What were the results? Did you try this new strategy? And this is giving them real life information or feedback in terms of how they're doing. But also they can proactively ask those key people who are going to be in the room, their managers, the stakeholders, for feed forward. You might have read about this recently, it was in the New York Times, but this is really popularized by Marshall Goldsmith again. This idea of not asking, how did I do? Because sometimes you get either a cheerleader or a critic. Ask for advice about the future. What do you think I need to do in order to be successful in this area? That way, it's about the future, and you're getting real life advice and information from key stakeholders who become invested in your client's success because they feel that they're part of the process. And then this way, you can use this kind of development action plan to, again, have them take action, monitor progress, measure success, and just have a very tangible, clear approach to those coaching discussions as it relates to promotions. And then one thing that I want to highlight is, again, this idea of a competitive assessment, because let's face it, nobody gets promoted without being evaluated versus your peers. Sometimes the same manager has more than one direct report that is going for a promotion. So as your client, have the discussion, evaluate the points of differentiation. Do they truly understand what is the difference between their leadership styles, their capabilities, their skills versus their peers? Do they have different kind of supporters, networks? What is their true value proposition so that you can pull them apart? You cannot be better than somebody who's an expert in an area. You have to find your own niche, just like each of us are looking to have our own niche based on our experiences. So should your clients when they're looking to get promoted. So I hope that those questions empower you to have richer discussions that are going to help you, again, put together a very robust plan of action around the career process. I'll pause here briefly. Kristen, any other questions have come up?
Yeah, there's a number of questions around culture and biases, that sort of thing. So specifically, what's the mindset for women who have been socialized to believe that their self-promotion is not appreciated? And then how does this culture bias, like gender, race, and orientation, impact career advancement?
Great question. I will provide, my perspective, being in the US, obviously, but I think this is, at the end of the day, this is something that happens globally. And we have to be mindful not only of the differences across the countries, but sometimes the differences across the companies, because some industries are very different. In the law firms, more conservative, in government, more conservative than in the tech industry. This is where, again, you identify who are your allies or your client's allies, right? Whether it is their manager, their mentor, if it's a woman, maybe another woman in the room. You have to identify who has done it before so that you can learn from them and their experience. Because every organization, obviously, nobody wants to come across as biased, but we know that they are kind of ingrained biases sometimes in different organizational cultures, and we have to navigate that. So obviously, sorry, Kristen?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, thank you. So my advice is obviously, empower your clients to ask the right questions so that they can learn along the way and put things into practice. What I share here today, for example, when it comes to identifying who are the key supporters that they have. Again, do they have a mentor in the room? Is their boss supporting them? Have they identified if it's a woman or person of color or different orientations? Have they identified other leaders who have progressed in their careers that they can have a vulnerable conversation around to understand what was successful to you in this organization? What do you recommend? Because obviously it will differ from organization to organization, but like everything, there's always a little room for experimentation. So I empower you and your clients to try to push the boundaries a little bit and understand, hey, if I were to volunteer to be the next person to write a newsletter or to do a hackathon or to lead a client engagement as a woman, as a person of color, etc., is this going to be a problem? Can I volunteer to, or can I ask my boss, hey, I want to be featured, or if I want to be put up for an award, given the great work that me and my team have done, is this going to be a problem? So again, ask for the things that are going to help you put a limelight on your client. And then you will again, get feedback along the way, whether or not this is acceptable. So again, I challenge you, because sometimes the first challenge that we have to address is a challenge of the client's mindset, that they are fearful of doing something. Sometimes it's themselves saying no. Nobody else has said no yet. So I challenge you guys as coaches to push them to try, get feedback, obviously, but to try also, so that they can get real life feedback as well. Because many times it's their own imposter syndrome or fear or their own mindset that's holding them back, really not the organization, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. A lot of juicy things in there.
Thank you.
for
No,
that.
thank you. Thank you for that, Kristen. So yes, again, it's this idea of experimentation. Test and learn is another great kind of framework that we use in marketing. Test in market and get feedback, real life feedback, and then you can optimize and pivot. So have your clients do the same, so that they can test the waters within the different company cultures or country cultures, and they can see what works and what doesn't. But thank you for that. So then I'll quickly jump in to this idea of messaging and self-promotion. We've been speaking a lot about how to understand, again, your client's self-awareness, how to elevate their self-awareness through feedback, through talking to the right stakeholders, right? To understanding who they are at their best. And now we are going to work on how to take all of this and start messaging and communicating their worth. So a lot of you, I'm sure, have worked on creating your own personal brand. So this is part of your coaching practice. But basically, creating your brand, as we do in marketing, it's really about creating a story that showcases, in this case for your clients, the skills, the experiences, the capabilities, all these characteristics that distinguishes them from others. So in essence, your personal brand is your reputation. So how do you make sure that your client's self-assessment is the same as the reputation, how others perceive them? So this is just kind of a very good visual cue, just to show you how you, meaning your client, how your clients see themselves and how others see them could be very different. So we want to make sure that you're getting enough of an overlap so that you have a brand that speaks for itself, a brand that matches expectations. And just some quick exercises that you can do to help your client through this process. So it's again about defining their strengths. So obviously you have gone through the SWOT analysis, so with your clients, so you should know some of these already, but it's understanding and asking those questions. What am I good at? What are my strengths? What drives me? What achievements and credentials do I bring to the table? Who am I at my best? And then defining the reputation of your client is around asking, again, key people to let them know, so that, again, that feedback. And again, a simple script, they could say that they're working with you on a brand assessment. And they want to reach out to, again, trusted individuals, right? Because they want honest feedback. Honesty is key. You want the good and the bad. So, they might ask certain people in the organization, I trust you and value your opinion. What are the 3 words that you think best describe me? Most people only remember 3 things. So a reputation, a brand, what are those key 3 things? Once you get that, then you'll have a better understanding. How does your client see themselves and how others see them as well? Is there a match or there is a disconnect? And let me let's go back for a quick second to Sarah, my client. So when Sarah went through this exercise, basically, the reputation, when she asked her business leaders, her mentors to give her feedback, they basically said, oh, she's very analytical, she's excellent in execution, extremely responsible. You want anything done, you give it to Sarah, right? You want results, Sarah is your leader. great team player. She's great cross-functional. She's an amazing collaborator. So all great things. You cannot say there's anything wrong with this. However, the self-assessment that Sarah had done and what she then ended up working for her future brand was slightly different. For her promotion, she needed to become an expert. Remember the feedback that she received? She needed to be strategic, and she needed to be client-centric. So while her reputation is extremely good, it's not what she needs. So she needs to evolve her future brand, her future self, to be very different. So this gave us great feedback so that we could get started on some projects to improve that reputation. So another point that I just want to highlight here is this idea of defining again your unique selling your unique selling point. What is your promotable narrative, your promotable story? And it goes back to all of the exercises that you already would have done that we covered, right? Understanding the drivers of progression, understanding their SWOT, their strengths, understanding how they differentiate versus the competition. So this all empowers your client to really understand what is their one thing that makes them different. That's a selling point. For Sarah, I provided here a script or a story that became almost like her pitch. And for her, I highlighted just a few things, right? So I just want you guys to have, I'm not going to read the whole thing for the essence of time, but it's this idea of, have a unique ability that combines strategic thinking, that combines consumer insights. So she's very externally focused. She's an award-winning marketer. So this, again, social proof. I have a proven track record. So that talks about her results. And she clearly, would have stated what were the projects that drove her. Because you want to make sure that your client is, again, it's a story. You want to make sure that it is tangible, that it's memorable, that when she shares this with her supporters, her cross-functional team, they were like, oh yes, Sarah was amazing in this project. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I forgot that we, delivered this XYZ, that she was able to attract new customers, to drive sales and revenue growth. Again, you're creating that pitch that empowers others to speak on your client's behalf. And then here at the bottom, I want to just highlight a few things that go back to, again, continuing that message, that story. What is unique about her? She's somebody who is nurturing the next generation of leaders. So she is basically, again, what's in it for the company? She's a people person. She's a people manager. She's growing loyalty for the next generation of leaders and developing them. She has a great ability to collaborate. One thing that we actually was just reading today in a magazine, an HR short magazine, that Gen Z has huge challenges collaborating and in teamwork. If Sarah is the manager of the next generation of leaders, she's a key asset to the company because she's helping bridge that generational divide. So that is something key for you to identify as you build a kind of that unique selling proposition, that story for your client. She's somebody who works, again, great with external agencies, with clients, who is beating benchmarks, who is delivering results. So again, just wanted to highlight some of the things that were part of Sarah's selling story as she then went on her kind of self-promotion cycle, reminding her manager, telling her cross-functional teams, reminding her mentor what she was working, what she had done, and frankly, proactively asking, I would love your support in my promotion. Remember the phrase, she's comfortable, she's not hungry enough? Well, Sarah in the next round clearly told everyone, and requested. It's not like, you're demanding or anything. You're requesting in an authentic way. I really would like your support in my promotion. And people were more than happy to provide that. Here, I just want to highlight as well. This is an article that I also wrote for Harvard Business Review for HBR that you might find valuable, that truly digs deep into the self-promotion aspect. So how to self-promote when you don't like to self-promote. So again, especially about enlisting supporters, how to talk to your manager, how to leverage all the communication channels within your company and externally to show people and communicate that you are ready and that you are the leader they're looking for. And then get into the nitty-gritty of the communication plan. Just as in marketing, it all starts with your audience. Have a clear understanding of who you're talking to, whether it is your current manager, the manager's manager. So ensure that obviously your client understands who is in the room and who is in their corner. Key stakeholders. If it's a promotion for a job that is in a different group, my gosh, even be sure to enroll the potential future boss. These are conversations they need to have so that they understand, hey, not only am I ready, I am the right fit for your team, and this is why. So that they can share the why and they can share their vision for the future. Because as you might remember, and I will share a little bit later, your client really needs to already wear the hat of the role they're looking to have, right? You have to be it before you get it. And part of this communication that needs to happen could be both in person and is also in the digital space. So in person, I ask that you work with your clients auditing the platforms available within the company. What are the resources that your clients have available, whether it is key meetings, upcoming events, whether it's a newsletter, podcast that they have, whether it's a special project that your client needs to raise their hand for so that they're part of a project that is quite visible and relevant. Client interactions. Getting client testimonials, agency support is actually pretty key because they see you as an asset to the company. If the company has a PR team and your client is in that level, frankly, even enrolling them with your client's management support so that they have additional assets working on their behalf. Sometimes you have to reframe and open it up in a bigger way to think, am I using all the tools available to, for you and your client to get them promoted? Obviously, we're in the world of social media, so online presence is key. So I advise you to discuss with your clients. Are they leveraging all the digital tools? Whether it is internally, do they have the right profile internally, the right internal resume ready? Do they have a LinkedIn profile that speaks to their successes, their results? Do they have a network, especially through LinkedIn in this case, that is connected to all of the key stakeholders within the company and outside? Does the current self reflect the future ambition? This is a very key thing, and so I'll repeat it. Does the current self of your client reflect the future ambition that they're looking for? This needs to be key, right? Obviously, I'm not going to go into this too much, but we all know the platforms available externally. LinkedIn is one that I use a lot because it serves almost like that external resume for everyone. And many times, let me tell you, many times you're able to change internal perception by having external organizations, people see you in a different light. So sometimes it's actually very key to incorporate external communication, whether it is, as I mentioned before, showing, being in a conference, being a speaker, doing a podcast, presenting yourself as a leader that you are for your client, so that internal audiences start seeing them in that light. And obviously, again, this is a key one, reminding your client, hey, you are the product, you're selling yourself. They're obviously already working with you, so they're investing in themselves. but just being keen that there's anything else they need to do to update their knowledge, their skills. And if this is not available internally, they may have to do it on their own externally to be differentiated. Networking and building that tribe, as I mentioned earlier, is really key, whether it is the group of people who are going to support them internally and being clear on who they are, or frankly, as I mentioned as well, attending industry events, conferences, joining relevant conversations and groups so that they are generating the kind of social proof and halo and brand that is one of a leader, that is one of an expert, that is one of a person worthy of representing the company at the higher level. And again, the last two were really more kind of a pro tip. If somebody is really very savvy and professional about this, they can, again, really position themselves as a leader in their field, whether it is, through thought leadership, articles, social media. I highly advise everyone to follow Dory Clark, who's really built her reputation about creating recognized experts. So I think that's a key area as well. And as well as I mentioned, sometimes leveraging public relations, meaning speaking opportunities, webinars, asking for testimonials and recommendations from colleagues and superiors and prior bosses is actually key. And they can formally do this in LinkedIn. Even, I'm sure internally can be done, but LinkedIn is a great way to capture that and keep it with your client regardless of where they go. If they decide to switch companies at some point. So I want to kind of highlight and end with this one example, which is the action plan, right? The roadmap and the strategic communication plan that Sarah and I worked on. So you might remember the feedback that she received that, right, she wasn't strategic, that other people were hungrier for the promotion, right? So all of these negative things that she didn't really see coming. So what we decided to work on was she wanted to be more client facing. So we looked at what meetings were available, were coming in the next 6 months so that she could have a seat at the table. We looked at trade show appearances so that she could go with sales, another key cross-functional group that was going to be in the discussions. We decided to have her partner with his sales counterpart so that they were invested in her success. Remember, having those vulnerable discussions and having them see you invested in changing is part of the behavior change, is part of the perception change that needs to happen. She wasn't seen as an expert in her field. So we worked on getting her placement in key conferences, in key podcasts, so that she can communicate and even represent the company in those. We did a full digital brand refresh so that her brand, both internally in her profile, in her internal resume, and externally, reflected the leader, the future state that she was looking to create. And frankly, many times as leaders, they're very bogged down in the now. So we were very clear that she needed to delegate and create the time and the space for strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is one of those areas where we never have time for because we're always checking lists. So ensuring that you are working with your clients to create the time and space for thinking, for ideation, for innovation, it's, again, really, really key for progression. Because only then can you actually create a plan that will help change others' perceptions. And this idea of enrolling key stakeholders, getting over, as Lynn and Kristen mentioned, some of those mindsets that may be holding your client back, that, hey, I'm not comfortable asking others for support, or I'm afraid that the culture is biased, etc. Whatever imposter syndrome, whatever your fears are, you need to work on your client to help shift that. And frankly, again, you can have them experiment. The test and learn approach and small experimentation is something that we do in marketing all the time so that they're learning on the job. Have them test and learn small ways to push through their fear. And then they're going to get feedback and see how far they can push. And sometimes, hopefully most times, realize that they can actually do it. That is really they're getting on their own head in terms of what's holding them back. So again, this is very personal to each client, but all of these questions, frameworks should help you guys have a good discussion in terms of what's needed to create, again, that action plan to empower your client to be ready for promotion, and the communication plan that they're going to need in order to communicate to all of the key stakeholders and change perception and the reputation about readiness and about the promotion cycle. So with that said, I just wanted to kind of leave you with this framework from Zig Ziglar, who's a very famous sales leader that actually, and also kind of inspirational leader, that talked about this framework, be, do, have. Practicing behaviors, doing it, helps create the mindset of confidence and being it. So create the roadmap that will help your clients get going in terms of speaking and self-promoting, in terms of addressing differences in perception, in terms of addressing behaviors and mindsets that may be holding them back. The doing will actually have an impact on the being. And this is the reinforcing loop that happens over time. So the idea is, again, once you identify areas that they need to work on, have them, just as you do your best, those great coaching conversations that you already have in terms of experimenting, getting, learning on the job, doing different strategies so that they can start seeing different results, they can start getting different feedback. This is key to, again, addressing potential gaps, reinforcing strengths, and building the business case and the promotion communication so that they can enroll supporters to move forward. So again, execution is key. So continue to create that and execute on that roadmap so that they can get feedback, they can evaluate what's working, and they can continue to see themselves committed so they can see success next time around. So again, with that said, just want to reinforce you guys that building the business case for the future they want to create is key. And 4 key elements of marketing that I recommend everyone to do and to pursue is, again, positioning your client for success by working on their brand, working on storytelling, and working on marketing and self-promotion so that people that are in the room have the same clear picture that your client is ready and that they are the right person for the job. So again, like everything, consistency is key and the secret sauce of creating a strong brand and a strong story. So I will, with that, open it up for questions. And I will challenge you as coaches. I want to leave these coaching questions. What are 1 to 3 steps that you're willing to take in your own coaching practice to support your client's career growth journey? So I would love to, see all of you guys run, a couple of actions that you want to take from what you heard today that is going to impact the career progression of your clients. So again, thank you all.
Yeah, that's a great question at the end. So if you all have a few minutes in the Q&A, you can put that in there. To give Jenny just a second to catch her breath. Thank you so much for that amazing session. And before we get to some of our questions, we have about 8 minutes for questions. Just a quick reminder that as you leave this session today, there's going to be a survey that pops up on your screen. And if you just take a few minutes to go through that and give us your feedback, it is so appreciated. We take all of your feedback to heart, and much of the feedback that our members give really does make a difference, and it sends us into motion to see if we should make some changes. So your feedback is very valuable. So let's look at some questions here while we still have Jenny. So how often should employees ask those SWOT feedback questions to their colleagues and their managers?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I would say it's fair to ask maybe every 6 months, because let's face it, once they have identified some of those opportunities that they have to work on and they get working with all of you in your coaching engagements, it takes, I would say, 3 to 6 months to start changing behavior. And frankly, the key is changing perception. So I think, that would give them enough time to work on the feedback and get more recent feedback and reflection of is what I'm doing working and resonating. Great question.
Yeah. And so in an effort to not overwhelm the client, you have given us so many tools and so many approaches. How do our coaches determine where to start and which one to use with our clients?
Great question. I would recommend the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis, remember, strengths, opportunities, threats, weaknesses. It gives you a lot of great coaching questions and conversations that you can have so that they can have a level of self-awareness that is increased in terms of what are their strengths, what are potential gaps they need to work on. And maybe a next phase that I recommend is then doing the brand assessment so that they can get that feedback from others and they can start seeing, okay, so what do I need to get working on in order to also change perception? Okay.
And what advice do you have for someone who needs to get into that spotlight but struggles with being exposed?
No, great question. So frankly, I would ask you guys to work with your clients to understand what is holding them back. What are the derailers? Many times is our own assumptions that growing up, I was told, hey, nobody likes somebody who brags, or put your head down, just do a good job and everything will work out. So understand and dig a little more about what assumptions do they have so that you can start working on that.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So Alex is asking, is or should be promotion the ultimate goal of all employees, or can we use these skills that you're talking about today in other aspects of a client's career, or use these tools in a different part of their life?
Oh yeah, I highly, to be honest, so obviously promotion is one way, but as they look to build their brand as an expert, they can do that outside of the company. In this day and age, we're more than our own company. We may outlast our company, right? So, and many of us and your clients change companies. So you want to make sure that they are building their brand name and their expertise outside of the company so that actually they can attract more job offers. They can attract promotions outside of the company. So I think both ways is great, because even the people inside the company will always look outside for cues and social proof.
Yeah, I think you are a good example of this, because like you do multiple things, right? And so you have to always be in front and talking about different parts of yourself to attract those people who might just need you for whatever they need you for, because they won't know unless you promote yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%. And thank you for that. And I would actually also add that if your client has younger generations that they're managing, that's actually something very, very ingrained in the new generations. They're all about self-promoting. They have 20,000 accounts from TikTok to LinkedIn. So if your clients, are more savvy about self-promotion, they'll become better managers, they'll improve retention, and it will ultimately have, it will be a cycle, a loop of improvement for every aspect of the business.
Yeah. So Leanne is asking on that note, she says, the young people, they have lots of technical skills in order to use all these different platforms and use them well. How do we support our people when they need to get on these technical platforms, but they don't understand how to use them?
Yes. So I would say, be mindful and don't become overwhelmed. Choose one or two first so that, and something that appeals to you and your generation and your profession. For many of us, I'm Gen X. I wasn't. So I gravitate to LinkedIn, sometimes Twitter, and that's where I spend my time. Well, I look at TikTok for entertainment. There's no way I'm going to, be have million followers over there. But I empower the people who report to me. I empower them to obviously being mindful about the voice they create because they still represent the company, but empowering them to be who they are and be their best where they feel comfortable is something that all of us should aspire to do with our bosses and our clients.
Awesome. And one last question that we have time for today is, how long are you normally working with someone in their career goals and advancement and positioning themselves in the way that you were talking about today?
Yes. So frankly, if you could be successful within 6 months to create this, depends on the company cycle. Let me reframe that. Some companies, especially technology companies, do have promotions within the 6 month and the 1 year cycle. So you have the opportunity to enable change within 6 months because the opportunity presents itself. But some companies don't offer that. It's just every year. So that's why I say have the discussion early. And even if you and your client know that there's a very good possibility that it's not going to happen in this cycle, there's no time like now to get working, because people are going to start seeing your client in action, and your client is going to start changing the perception that others have of them, and that will help in the long run to quickly get them promoted.
Very good visionary there. I love it. Well, thanks again for being with us, Jenny. It was such a pleasure to host you and to have you present your information to our coaches. I know there's a lot of love in the Q&A box for you and all that you've
Thank you.
Good takeaways too. And we can certainly send those to you, and you can review them after the webinar is over. So for the rest of us, make sure that you check out the chat box and click on that IM session link so that you can participate with other coaches in your area and discuss the things that you're taking away from here today and how you're going to implement them into your practice and life. Again, those are going to take place 30 minutes after today's session, and also next Tuesday in English, Arabic, and Portuguese. And once again, a survey will pop up once we leave the session today, and we ask that you take just a few minutes just to fill that out so that we know how well we are serving you and what we can do to improve. And that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for participating. You guys were great. And Jenny, you are awesome. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kristen and Lynn. And thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. And again, do connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to send you some documents and a summary of this.
Generous. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's me again. This is a friendly reminder if you are an ICF member. Now that you've fully reviewed this session recording, simply scroll down to the session resources and find a one-question quiz. Please complete it, and you will ensure you've received the CC units for this session. And if you've already attended this session live, you've already been granted the CC units, and you don't need to complete this quiz. See you soon. Bye-bye.